check this out. We're finally gonna have a look at some scopes. This video is gonna cover all of the different accessories to go along with your scopes, and if we got time at the end, we'll grab a basic pattern. This isn't going to be a brand specific video, so regardless of what you've got, hopefully this video will help. Let's have a look. Ah, those are sharp, bloody. Store your back probes carefully, they bite. And if you ever work with logic chips, just know that they always land with the sharp legs facing up, and then they tend to embed in your feet. So your most important part is going to be the scope itself. Now, this style of scope right here connects to a laptop. This particular one is an all-in-one tablet type unit. Both are totally good, both have their pros and their cons, and you know, whatever works for you is totally fine. Something very important to consider if you have the laptop based ones is the quality of the USB cables that connect them to the computer. You don't want to cheap out on these, because if you can't get the data transmission reliably from the cable to the computer, you're gonna probably miss out on especially some of those harder to find intermittent problems, you know, like the whole reason why we're using a scope instead of a meter in the first place. When it comes to your leads, many scopes come with a lead set that looks like this, and these are pretty basic. This is what's called a BNC connector, so it connects to the connector on your scope. It just on the right spot there, push and twist. Pretty straightforward. On this end of the lead, it's really cool. You have a built-in attenuator. What an attenuator is it's basically a protection unit for the scope itself. So it'll take the voltage and it will step it down or divide it down. So if we turn this from 1x, you have a 12-volt battery, you would see a 12-volt signal on the scope. If we put this to 10x, it would divide that by 10. So you would get a 1.2 volt signal in the scope. Where that's really useful is on fuel injectors and ignition coils, where you can have upwards of 400 volts that gets stepped down, because scopes don't exactly like getting kicked in the face with 400 volts. Oh, shit! So these are also attenuators. These ones, however, have a 20-to-1 ratio instead of the 10-to-1 ratio that's found in a lot of this style of probe. So what that means is if we had a 20-volt signal, that it would go into the scope as a 1-volt signal. So again, this provides protection.
Did you use protection? Goals
for your scope, and it provides a little bit more than what these ones do. However, keep in mind that does reduce the resolution or the resolving power of the scope, so the signal is going to be a little bit less clear. Anytime you use an attenuator, you have to make sure that you set your scope probe to the correct attenuation level. So on this scope, I would not be able to use a 20-to-1 attenuator. It's set up for a 10-to-1 or a 100-to-1. However, I could leave it in a 1-to-1 and then just do the math manually in my head. So I know that if I had a 200-volt signal, that I'd have to divide that by 20, and that would be what my voltage would read on there. So it does kind of open up a little bit of room for error there. Really nice if you can just find one that matches up with your scope. And pretty much every scope has at least the ability to do a 10-to-1 attenuation, and for pretty much everything automotive, that's going to be fine. On the other end here, we have our ground lead. These are always a little bit too small or too short. And right here, we're able to use this little hook to hook into circuits, or we can pull that end off and then we have a small probe. Really handy. In those lead kits, you'll find some different accessories. So one of those, these little caps right here, are to help protect that probe to prevent you from shorting out on any circuits. And then this right here is for fine-tuning the attenuator. And now sometimes the leads have an adjustment down here. This particular one appears to have the adjustment up here. So you would set this up at 10x, set up with a square wave signal. I'll show you how to do that later. And then you just adjust it to make sure that that square wave is calibrated. And that's what all that stuff is for. Let's take a look at some other leads. So here's two sets of leads that do the same thing, but slightly different brands, slightly different setups. So this one right here is specific to the Pico scope, and this is their BNC Plus, so it's still a BNC connector, but it has some data pins on it so that it's able to, on the 4-channel automotive Picos, hook up, and those little pins match up with those little pads right there, and that automatically tells the scope what it's connected to. Most scopes don't offer that. Most scopes just have your standard BNC style connector or whatever connector they may have, and we would hook that up just the same way that we did the other one. And then on this end, it's really cool. We have male and female banana leads or banana connectors. What that is really handy for is attaching different ends to it. So here I have alligator clips. You can connect that right to whatever it is that you need to connect it to. Another cool feature about these is you can stack them, so I can have two leads share the same ground point. We've got back probes. Very, very handy to have the flexible ones. We've got your standard meter style leads. And on the other end here, where'd it go? And on this end, you're able to connect things, you know, like your amp clamp, where it would plug into a standard multimeter. So really, really handy for both extending the reach and for adapting different attachments to your scope. Now, one of the first things that you need to do anytime you use any type of leads, or really should do using any tool, is check the integrity of the tool. I have here a good set and a faulty set of these leads. Now, these are supposed to have your power and your ground, and they do not connect anywhere in this wire. They connect to your scope. So on a good set of leads here, I've set my multimeter to continuity, so that will tell us if the wires are connected, which they shouldn't be. So I'm gonna probe my wires right there. Not expecting anything. We should not have continuity. There shouldn't be a connection. These tend to short out from time to time. And look at that. That would not give us, at best, we're gonna get faulty readings. At absolute worst, that is gonna short circuit our scope and wear out however much money that scope cost. Also, you don't need the leads. Check this out. We could do the same thing. I'm still set to continuity. Yeah, pretty neat, eh? So these can go right in the scrap. Those ones are good. But on the note of being able to connect to our multimeter, something that is very handy are these different adapters. They come in little kits. You can get them from fairly expensive to relatively cheap. Keep in mind you get what you pay for, sometimes less, but never more. And you're able to adapt different ends to different components. So if I wanted to get this amp clamp here adapted to work with my meter, I could set it up with that adapter to this adapter and make sure that you have your grounds set in the proper location. And now have the ability to use this amp clamp on this multimeter. And that works with your scopes too, depending on how your scope is set up, what kind of leads it has. Some of these meter style leads are really cool too, because they have a banana connector on the front, and then you could also adapt other things to them, like alligator clips or back probes. But just be aware, if you are going to back probe something this way, you can't just leave it hanging off in the connector, because there's a fair bit of weight right there. So these here are two different styles of ignition probes. This one right here goes around your spark plug wire, and it is very important to make sure that you attach this clamp to your chassis ground, because a ignition system on a vehicle can produce upwards of 100,000 volts. Granted, they don't just produce that sitting there at idle. They produce a little bit less. They only produce that 100,000 volts if they need to. And then this is essentially a massive attenuator. It's something like 10,000 or 20,000 to 1 to step that signal down. If that spark were to short circuit and jump to here, by having this clamp hooked up to your ground, it will just travel back through the engine chassis ground instead of traveling back through your scope. You kick your scope in the face with 20,000 volts, it's not going to like you for very long. This is an inductive style pickup for your ignition system, and the same thing. You have your ground clamp, you have your BNC style connector, and then this part of the probe gets held up next to your ignition coil to pick up the voltages. And again, you have to go into your scope and set up a probe for this. Now, my personal preference for accuracy is this style of ignition clamp. However, it doesn't exactly work on coil-over plug systems. You need to have a spark plug wire. So the solution for that is what they call a high-tension lead. And this is basically a specialized spark plug wire that has one end that plugs onto the spark plug, and then your other end that plugs into the coil. Also comes with a ground, as some coils are grounded through the block or through the valve cover where they're mounted. And then you are able to take your ignition clamp and connect it to this. Now, the downside to doing it this way is if you're trying to look at a V6, a V8, a V10, V12, vroom, vroom, you would need to have 6, 8, 10, 12 of these high tension leads, and they're not exactly cheap. They do add up, but they do give you a very, very nice and accurate depiction or idea of what's happening with your ignition. These are a couple of more specialized sets of leads that are quite cool. So this one is a keyless entry signal detector. So this is for your, basically the vehicles that have the key fobs, where you just keep the key fob in your pocket and you can walk up to the door and it will unlock for you. This goes up against the door handle, and this will pick up the signal that the vehicle is sending out, so you can check to make sure that the vehicle is actually looking for the key fobs. And then this one, ultrasonic parking sensor detector, goes up against the reverse sensors and is able to pick up the frequencies that those are sending out. So a little bit more specialized. Don't work with every single scope that are out there, but very, very cool if you do have a scope that these can hook up to. And now these two are Pico specific because they line up to the BNC Plus connector. And this particular one is for measuring resistance. And as far as I know, there aren't other scopes out there that have resistance leads for them. There may be some other high-end ones, but the vast majority of them out there don't have that. So really cool feature to be able to measure any type of variable resistor. So, you know, things like throttle position sensors on some vehicles, your fuel sending units. Really nice for being able to provide a good graph of what the resistance is. This one here is just another attenuator. So this is a 10x attenuator, but it's built into these leads. And then again, the Pico BNC, you connect it to the scope and it knows that it has this attenuator built right in, and you don't have to adjust anything. It does it for you, which is pretty nice. These are very, very cool. Got these from AES Wave. I believe they custom make them. And what it is it's basically like a set of chassis ears. So it has a little piezoelectric element in there. And what does a piezoelectric element do, or a little piezoelectric crystal? Well, it is able to produce voltage when it's changed in size. So if you were to squeeze on it a little bit, or maybe tap on this, it's going to produce a voltage or a waveform signature. Just like a knock sensor. Really, really cool for finding engine noises, or for finding noises in the chassis, especially when you have multiple of them. And then you can hook these to a multi-channel scope, and then you could hook them to different parts of the chassis or the engine, and then you're able to isolate which one the noise is coming from, or which area the noise is coming from. Really helpful too that these are color coded, and a lot of scopes give you the option to change the color based on which channel input you have, so you can know exactly where that noise is coming from via sound. Let's have a look now at how to just grab a basic waveform with this. All right, so step one, I always like to test my tools to make sure that they are working. And one of the easiest ways to do that, especially automotive world, just check your battery. So we have our ground, we have our power, and then we should get a reading, which we do. We've got a waveform. That one off the screen there. So what I'm going to do now, select my channel, and then I can adjust my voltage scale to bring my waveform down. So now I can see my pattern. I can see my waveform. And this is a battery, so we're expecting constant power. We're good. We know that this probe works. So let's put this to use on a circuit. Here I just built a tiny little flasher circuit. And literally all it does is it has an LED that blinks. And this is great for just a demo purpose to pick up a waveform. So I'm hooked up to my battery over there with my leads. I am hooked up now to my circuit. And I can see my little LED is blinking away there. Blink until its heart is content. My ground, I can go right on my battery, Or I can go to anything that automotive world, we have a common ground for the chassis. So basically anything metal that connects back to the battery. And here I can either use this little hook, which is really handy when you have T-pins or back probes, or I can remove this cap and I can just use the probe. And if I probe at my power side, I should have a solid steady line here, which I do. Those little bits of noise there are just from me having a slightly poor connection with my probe. If I go to the resistor here in my circuit, which is part of the, it's in series with this blinking LED, I can see voltage being applied and removed. And this is a lovely little square wave. Take a look at that. I got more voltage before the resistor. The resistor consumed some of the voltage, and then I got less after. That's pretty cool. I gotta have that resistor in there, otherwise it would melt the LED. So this is a perfect use of a scope. You'll get waveforms, not exactly like this, but similar to this on things like cam sensors, crank sensors, your controls for your ignition coils. There is a lot on a car today that operates off of a pulse width modulated signal. Speed control for things like fuel pumps. It's awesome. So a scope is a very, very useful tool in diagnostics when you want to confirm that there is a fault with the part or the component or the sensor itself, not with the circuit that controls it or monitors it. So that pretty well sums up this video. In the next video, we're going to take a much deeper dive on how to use and manipulate these scopes to get the waveforms and the signals that we're after, especially in a diagnostic for the automotive world type of mindset. So let me know, what accessories on here did I cover that you really like? Which ones don't you find super useful? Which ones didn't I cover that maybe I should have? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.